without doubt, the most dangerous lie that they have told is that I somehow boasted about the number of people that I killed in Afghanistan. But it's a lie.
You see, Dan, once again, it's the press's fault.
Always the fault of the media, isn't it, Meghan? We're seeing this more and more with Harry and Meghan. They never take responsibility, even for their own words. So first we saw them roll back on those claims to Oprah Winfrey that there was a racist running around at the senior levels of the royal family. All of a sudden, no, we didn't mean there was a racist. Just there's a lot of unconscious bias going on. Now that there has been a significant backlash to these comments from Harry about the 25 members of the Taliban who he claims that he killed when in service there as part of the British Army, all of a sudden it is the fault of the British media for reporting his exact words. This is a man baby who isn't even able to claim credit for his own words. This is something you time and again in Spare Meg. It's never Harry's fault, ever. It's always someone else's fault. It's either the Queen's fault, or King Charles's fault, or William's fault, or the fault of his school teachers. But largely, as you have pointed out, it's the fault of folk like me, members of the British media. We are the devil. We are dangerous. We are evil. Actually, if you listen to the members of the military at the senior levels of the military in the UK, they're not complaining about the coverage of Harry's words. They're complaining about the fact that he has made this revelation at all. Now, they're the experts on the Taliban and the military, Meghan. I'm not. But they have made it very clear over the past couple of days that this passage in Harry's book now significantly increases the security risks, not just to Harry and his immediate family in Montecito, but to the entire royal family, to the King, to William, and actually to British people overall, because the Taliban are using this and there are increasing threats being made, in particular to the people of London.
By the way, man baby even got a laugh out loud out of Abby, which is a big A+. She's a cynical newswoman like I am, sitting next to me all day. It takes a lot to make her laugh out loud, but you did it, Dan. On the Taliban thing. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say what he's mad about is that they called it a boast. And he wants to say it wasn't a boast. First of all, that's a matter of opinion. And there have been a lot of ex-military saying that's how we view it. There was absolutely no reason to disclose it. You might have tried to couch it in sort of a self-revelatory, like I'm reflecting on my time, but we all see it as what we think it is, which is a brag. And so they're entitled to their opinion. Too bad Harry wants to control everybody's thoughts and feelings and statements, not just ours, but even former military who were offended by the statement. Like it's what's dangerous is how you reacted to it, not what I actually said. But here's how he's now trying to spin it. This is so absurd. He says the reason he chose to write about his kill count was to reduce the number of suicides among military veterans. I made a choice to share it because having spent nearly 2 decades working with veterans around the world, I think the most important thing is to be honest and to give space to others to share their experiences without any shame. Well, Colonel Kemp, who commanded Operation Fingal in Afghanistan in 2003, told the Mail Online he did not think that revealing the number would help any healing journey and that it's given the Taliban more fuel for propaganda. Of course, here he is again. He's so altruistic, Dan. He's such a stallion. That's his own word in his book. He's such a stallion. And so, but he can't take credit for it. Even this was just to help others. It wasn't to make him look like a tough guy.
Oh, no, indeed. And he doesn't make any mistakes ever. But actually, what's so disturbing is when you really dig down into the campaign going on here, what Harry wants is the free British press to be controlled, to be limited. Yep. He's actually calling, and he laughs in the face of his father at one point, King Charles, when he says to him, look, dear boy, it's impossible for the institution to control the media. And Harry laughs in his face. He is living in a world where he genuinely believes that the British royal family should be able to control what someone like me as a British citizen can write and publish or broadcast. And so Harry thought that it was absolutely fine for him to include all of this information in his book, which we remember he's making millions and millions of dollars for, but it wasn't right for the British press to report on the ramifications of him making this comment. And so I would put it back to Harry, the Duke of Sussex, that you're the dangerous one. You're the dangerous one because you want a British society where there is no freedom of the press. And remember, Meghan, we don't have the constitutional protection here in the UK that journalists and broadcasters like you have in the US. So I actually think what he's calling for is chilling.
Yeah, he called the First Amendment bonkers that we luckily have over here. He doesn't believe in it. He doesn't believe in the principle of free speech or the free press, here or there. And this is embodied in his attack. I mean, what a pathetic soul. He attacks you in his book for what? For publishing some viciously untrue story that turned out to embarrass you. No, that did not happen. You broke Megxit, and he's mad. He's mad you didn't sit back. By the way, I read in your piece on the Daily Mail, you gave them a week's notice to respond, to weigh in. It's not like you just ran to the presses with this, but you were right in any event. You could have done that. He's mad you broke it, that you didn't let him break it. Well, hello. That's not how the media works. And for this, you get labeled a sad little man. A sad little man. Go ahead, sad little man. For doing your job, something that's actually really important to both his country and ours.
I know. He actually calls me a sad little man, I think, 3 times. It's always these sort of be kind woke lefties, isn't it, Meghan, who love throwing the personal insults at the people who they don't agree with politically, which is what I think this is really about. But actually, when it came to the Megxit story, and that wasn't the only big story I broke about Harry and Meghan, but I guess it was the culmination of a whole load of previous scoops, he was so angry that I had this information and that I was about to break the story, that he actually reveals in the book that he called up his grandmother, the Queen. He bothered the Queen about my story and says, look, Gran, the Sun has this story, so I'm going to have to scoop them and release my own statement about it. She says, all right, be careful. And he in the end decides actually can't put the statement together fast enough. So he's going to let the sad little man, me, publish the story, which I do. But what he has done, and this is not surprising, Meghan, because the book is littered with provably untrue claims, and this is one of them. He claims that the reason that I published the story so quickly is that I was working in concert with Buckingham Palace, that we were somehow conspiring on this story together. Well, I can tell you right now that's completely not true. I had gone to Harry's own communications secretary 7 days before publishing the story. I had had numerous conversations with her. I knew because she told me that she was speaking directly with Harry and Meghan about my story and that they were meeting with her at Frogmore Cottage the moment that they landed from Canada. I even included within the story briefing. You know, briefing, the thing that Harry says is like evil and is so bad that he should end his relationship with his father and his stepmother and his brother. Well, guess who was providing the briefing to me on that story? Him, his own communications secretary. And I'll tell you what the briefing was. And by the way, I don't usually talk about this stuff because actually people don't really need to know about how the sausage is made. And I actually also believe it's incredibly important. It's something I would go to jail to do, protecting sources. But in this case, I'm not claiming that Harry and Meghan were the source of the story. What I'm saying is I got the story myself, but then I was doing my job as a journalist. I wanted to provide both sides of the story. So they briefed me. And the briefing that they gave me on the story was that the reason they were so angry about the royal family is that the Queen had released a picture over the Christmas period, because remember, they had snubbed the Queen. They hadn't wanted to be with her for one of her final Christmases. They had instead spent it in Canada. And she had released a picture of the Queen, Charles, William, and George. And Harry was so furious about this, he took it as a slight. And he thought it was a sign from the monarch that she was saying to Harry and Meghan, you're not going to be a part of the monarchy in the future. And that was one of the reasons that they were so angry and that they started to speed up, I guess you could say, the discussions about Megxit.